Hello, everyone. So, welcome to another fireside chat of Zeron. And today we have a very special guest with us, who is Mr. Ankit De, who is our Chief Information Officer at Zeron. And today we are going to talk about building a resilient cybersecurity infrastructure for the Gulf countries. So, please join me welcoming Ankit De to our fireside chat today. Okay.
Hey Soham,
Hi,
thank you for
Ankit. Thanks
introducing me.
for joining. Yeah, thanks for joining today's fireside chat. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. And so, as we know, right, today's topic is about building a resilient cybersecurity framework in the Gulf countries, right? So, Ankit, I'd just like to start with the starter questions for all our audience who are listening to us today, right? So, we talk about mandates, we talk about compliances, right?
Hmm.
So, and people are working in different organizations, and every organization has to follow certain mandates or compliance requirements, right? So
Yes.
what should, how should you lemonize it to our audience regarding what compliance or mandate, how is it like portrayed or what it means, so that everyone has a good understanding of exactly like where we stand in terms of that.
Sure. So for the compliance part, so what compliance means like it's an act of obeying a law or a rule, right? So the compliance framework, so there are multiple compliance framework is there. So people have to, or the organizations mainly have to comply with this to become a legitimate company or an organization in the industry, right? Now, let's say if you were collecting data, if you are processing data, and if you are storing customers' data, and if you are taking PII data also, or any kind of data, you are storing it on your server, you are storing it on your uh, cloud storage, or anywhere else, and even you are processing on the cloud, you have to follow few compliances. So the most common one is the ISMS framework, right? So Information Security Management System. So that is ISO 27001. Now we also have a recent edition of that ISO 27022 So that is some compliance. So if a organization like implements this ISMS framework in their organization, they will like I wouldn't say they will be totally protected, but the way to like pro- getting their organization protected from the cyber threats is there. They need to implement it, they need to enforce all the controls there, and then they will be compliant with all the controls. So that is the basic thing of the compliance. And for the mandate, like the mandate is mainly, it's not an framework, but it is based on few of the cybersecurity framework. It's a NIST CSF framework, then ISO is there. So keeping all of these frameworks in mind, few organizations or few of the governing body push up some rules. These rules have to be followed by the organization who are falling under the jurisdiction of those particular organization or those particular governing bodies. So let's say if there is one like insurance company, they are taking clients' data and they are storing and processing the clients' data. They have to follow the IRDI methods. If some bank is there, if some NBFC is there, they have to follow the NBFC guidelines. They have to follow the RBI guidelines or the RBI master direction. So these are all the mandates that we have in India. Same goes for the Gulf countries. They also have this kind of mandates. So for UAE, we have the information assurance regulation is there. So
Yep,
this
yep.
regulation is for the digital environment, right? Now,
Yeah. So
is
just
totally
just
focused.
just, just
Yes.
cutting off you over there, like as you
Hmm.
swiftly and lemonize the term about the compliance and mandates to our audience right now. And since today's fireside chat is about the Gulf countries and how we can help them achieve a cyber resilient future in terms of compliance. So just wanted to understand from your standpoint, like what are some of the like compliance or mandates that are crucial for the Gulf countries, and why is it so? Like how would you like go ahead with that particular question? Yeah.
So the most common one is the ISMS framework. So ISO 27001 is globally accepted, right? Then if then PCI DSS is there. So if there is some payment cut industry or payment cut company or organization is there, they have to follow the PCI DSS guideline because it is a global framework, right? It's a global compliance. And also even if the UAE is working with some of the, like, let's say UK or European region countries, they also have to follow the GDPR. So these are all the basic things, right? Like if even if we are in India, we also have to follow the GDPR guidelines. If we are taking the European regions data or their clients data in our platform, then we have to follow the GDPR rules. So same goes for the Gulf countries. So everywhere it is the same. Like they have to follow the ISMS guidelines. They have to follow the PCI DSS guideline. They have to follow HIPAA. They have to follow the GDPR rules. So that's the thing. But for the mandates, but yes, definitely. So UAE has their own mandates also. So just I've said, like, so Dubai Electronic Security Center. So that is the DESC. They publish uh, like Dubai cybersecurity strategy few years ago. So that is being implemented right now. In that they have so they have all kind of controls are there. And if I go to the guidelines part, regulations part, we have the UAE information assurance regulation, right? So this particular thing is developed by the Telecommunication and Digital Government Authority, Regulatory Authority of UAE. So it this regulation provides a description of how information assurance is achieved on the national level, a risk-based approach for the implementation of information assurance, then an outline of the roles and responsibility of key holders for the planning, development, implementation, and ongoing monitoring and improvement of the information assurance. Right.
Yeah. So we talk about compliance, we talk about mandates, right? So, Ankit, is there any significant difference between compliance and mandates? Like why we term them differently to some extent? And if you can also share some light on exactly what are some of the mandates or requirements that are like established in the Gulf countries, as you already mentioned. So that would be like more clear on that part. If you can explain that difference significantly.
Sure. So, as I said already, like compliance are like some rules, right? They're rules uh, that is based on the some framework. So, let's say if I talk about like ISMS framework, so the ISO 27001 is a compliance, right? So it's an information security related compliance or information technology security related compliance. Now, the mandates are mainly published, or mandates or regulations are mainly published by the governing body. That can be a state governing body, or that can be an national governing body. So that is the main difference. So the mandates are accumulation of multiple security controls. If when we are talking about like security mandates, security related mandates, or information security related mandates, so these are mainly comprised of multiple security controls that are taken from the compliances basically.
Okay.
So let's say in compliance ISO 27007 we have the uh, access control is there, access control is there, then human resource management is there. So these kind of things are there. So these are all the basic security stuff. Now in the mandates, what the governing body are doing, they are taking these controls, they are putting it uh, uh, in a particular module, and they are pushing it to the all the bodies or to all the organizations who are falling under those particular regulations, and they have to follow it, right? So all the
Okay. Yes.
banking, so all the banking industry, they have to follow the UEIAR, this kind of regulations, right? So this is the
Right.
main
Right.
thing. This is the main difference.
Yeah, yeah, very well explained. Definitely, like I think that was exactly what more of what our audience was also looking for. And also, like you mentioned something about UAE IAR, right? The UAE Information Assurance like requirement, correct? So regulation, that particular regulation. So any particular aspect of that regulation you want to point out, like which is like a game changer in this industry right now, or like if you can just delve deep into that.
So yes, so the UE mainly works on the uh, so like UE is getting more attacks from the cyber threats, right? Like including hacktivists and many
Okay.
cybercrime groups are there. Now, like this particular thing is developed by the Telecommunications and Digital Government Regulatory Authority from UAE, and These UEIAR information assurance regulation is providing requirements to raise the minimum level of protection of information assets and supporting system across all entities in the UAE. Okay,
Yep.
so these regulation controls multiple number of management level like information security controls and technical level information security controls, right? And all the organization have to follow these IAR, UEIR information assurance regulation, and they have to establish, implement, maintain, and continuously improve these information assurance compliances or the controls, if I say.
Yep, yep, great. So, as we are like from the field of cybersecurity itself, so do you think pertaining to all these mandates, requirements, or these compliance frameworks, so are there any specific tools or something which you recommend, or like how do we define that to some extent in terms of security? Like, yeah, mandates are there; they are having controls, sub controls, which says a lot of things. There are implementation guidance and so far, so, any particular tools that we will be looking for to protect the cybersecurity assets and whatever attacks are coming, as you mentioned, right?
Sure, sure. To maintain these huge number of compliance and control, so there are different few tools. So GRC is one of them. So governance, risk and compliance, these kind of tools definitely helps the organizations to maintain all the governance part, the risk related to the information security or the information technology and all the compliances. So few of the GSC tool also can work on the technical level also. So what they do, like as we know, like all the compliance and the controls have to be properly established through a policy, through
Hmm.
organization level policy. So every organization have to create a few policies regarding to the information technology, information security, and on these particular things, right? Now they have to maintain this policy. There have to be stakeholders for each policies, and they have to continually improve based on the last year's results. So there have to be few KPIs like how this particular policy is performing, if there is any kind of bottleneck in the policy, or if this particular policy is creating some bottleneck in the organization itself. So these have to be monitored throughout the year. Now, every year it has to be reviewed, or every quarterly it has to be reviewed by the management team, uh, and they have to be they have to keep updated, right, all the time. Now, to maintain this kind of thing, there is some GSC tools. So you can upload your compliance documents there, and you can manage them, and you can assign their particular users who will be updating them, monitoring them. These kind of things are there. Now, also some GSC tools will support technical integrations. So let's say you are using AWS, you are using Office 365, you are using a firewall, you are using particular EDR or antivirus. So these things can be integrated with the GSA tool to get the evidences or get the controls or get the monitoring done very easily. So what happens? So let's say if there is a particular control regarding firewall or network security that we already have in the ISO 27001. So whenever you are connecting a firewall to the GSC tool, it will track all the firewall related policies and it will check if there is any kind of uh, deviance or not, right? So this is the main thing of the GRC part, and so you can also connect right now. You can also connect cloud services also to that, so you can monitor your cloud services how much they're compliant with all the organization level policies. So mainly yes. So that these GRC tools helps the organization. If I go deep dive into the technology part, any organization can use attack surface monitoring tool, then CSPM. So as all of the data, most of the data is on the cloud, so CSPM is a very necessary tool for the organization. So that is a cloud security posture management, right? And also in this era, a CRPM, that is cyber risk posture management, is very much necessary to have for every big organization, mainly for the fintech or any kind of industry, right? Because it will help you make a informed cybersecurity decision based on the risk that you are getting from your technical level compliance, technical level controls, and also from the management's perspective,
Correct.
right?
Yep, yep. So, very well explained. Thanks for that, like, such a brief as well as well-formed answer. And at the same time, I was, like, curious to know one more thing. So, you mentioned that every department should have their own, like, evidences, like requirements, whatever those mandates or frameworks are telling, right? So, how important it is for each and every member of the organization to be aware of these mandates or requirements? Like, do you think everyone needs to be on the same page so that the entire cybersecurity resilience framework of the organization grows? So how does it work in terms of
Can you
granular
just
level?
comment? So can you
uh,
just come again?
yeah, yeah, sure. So what I was asking, like, how important is for each and every member of the organization to be aware of these policies or mandates or the requirements, like from the granular level, like, so how should they approach it? So we talk about implementing, let's say, EDRs, CRPM platforms, GRC tools, and so on. But what about the individuals who are working? Like, how should this be maintained in a, like, common channel, right?
So these compliances and these policies have to be maintained by every employees. Okay, they have to be aware of the every compliance or the policies uh, that are falling under their regulations or their like industry, right? So
Correct.
whenever a organization is drafting a policy, that policy is shared with every employees because they have to know what kind of policy they have to follow. Maybe the HR will help them to follow those
Hmm.
policies, right? That is a role of HR. So HR will be enforcing them or helping them to follow all these policies. So yes, every employee have to have a knowledge on the existing policies and the upcoming policies also. They have to be trained regularly. If there is any compliance changes, all the employees have to be trained uh, and updated instantly. So let's say if some of the employees or one of the employees is not following a particular compliance or a particular policy, it can get the organization in a like tricky situations later because audits happen every yearly, and through the audit term or through the audit phase, if something comes up like this particular employee was not following this particular compliance or this particular policy, it may cause a problem.
Yep, yep, absolutely agree to that. So, as you know, right, like, GITEX North Star is also happening, and Xeron will also be a part of the GITEX this time, this year, right? So, just like, wanted to ask you one question. What do you think the people who are visiting GITEX this year, like, what should they expect from Xeron as a whole? And, like, any words you would like to add up over there?
So they can expect the CRPM model, right? So I
Correct.
think we'll be the only one there with the CRPM vision in GITEX, right? So they will have whenever they see the dashboard, they will have a very good understanding of how the CRPM works and how it will be beneficial for the management teams also and for the technical teams, right? So yes, definitely. Sharon will be able to help them in both the management perspective and the security technical security perspective.
Yes, yes, exactly. That's what we also expect the same. And so right now it's time for having questions from our viewers. So Atur has already posted one question. So, like, are financial institutes in UAE more focused on compliance than risk management? Yeah, what should
Yes,
be your take on that?
definitely. Yes, definitely. They are more like not just the UAE, I would say. Every like a financial institute are like more focused on being compliant with the
Correct.
regulations and the compliance modules. Uh, but the internal risk management may be like there is some gap in the risk management part, uh, because if we go for an enterprise level financial institute, they will have multiple departments and correlating all the risk and getting all the risk checked and getting all the risk assessed is a very tough job, right? So yes, definitely most of the financial institute of UAE are more focused on the compliance part than the risk management.
Great, great. Atur, I hope this answers your question. Any more questions? We'll just wait for the audience like to post. Yeah, those who are watching, please feel free to add questions. Anything regarding compliance, mandates, requirements, we would be happy to answer. Okay, I think there are no more questions as of now. So we'll just wait for a couple of minutes. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So anything would you like to encounter, add on, right, regarding, let's say, in the Gulf countries, right? So how do you look at it, like towards, like, what is the future of compliance or this mandate requirements specifically for the Gulf? Like anything you have in mind which you want to share, then that would be really insightful.
Regarding that, I think UAE compliance team and the Dubai compliance team, the government is definitely working on the like more cyber resilient uh, like posture, right? They
Correct.
are
Yeah.
definitely working for the more cyber resilient posture. So for the future, I think like whichever compliance is there, like the ISO, the PCI DSS, HIPAA, these things will be there, right? And like as it is globally accepted, uh, it will be implemented for UAE also, UAE and the Dubai countries. Yes.
Great, great. So I think, that was a great, insightful fireside chat with you, Ankit. And more or less, we had covered up each and everything about the compliance and requirements that these Gulf countries and have, and how we can build a resilient, compliance framework in these Gulf regions, and how also Xeron can help it to some extent. So thank you so much for being on the fireside chat today. Okay. Yeah. Any parting
Thank you.
words from you? Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, okay, great. Thank you, Ankit. Have a nice day. And so, guys, as you saw, how Ankit mentioned exactly how we can build a resilient cybersecurity compliant framework in the Gulf countries. And as I already mentioned, Xeron is in GITEX this year from 15th to 18th. And our booth is H2B16. Please don't forget to visit there. You will get a lot of insights about the CRPM tool, about compliance requirements, mandate guidelines, and so on. Each and everything catered to in a single platform, which will help organizations take informed decisions. So, see you there at GITEX, everyone. Have a very nice evening. Thank you. Signing off, Soham Mitra.